Welcome everyone. Today's video is on solving equations with square roots. So make sure you title your notes. And before we get started with examples, first I want to talk about the order of operations. You all know the order of operations by now. Say parentheses first, then exponents, then either multiplication or division, reading from left to right, and then addition or subtraction, again reading from left to right. Since we are now undoing an equation, we actually have to do the order of operations in reverse. So we will undo addition or subtraction first, then multiplication or division, and then exponents. So let's look at our first example here. We have x squared equals 4. So first we need to undo addition or subtraction. Well, if you look at the problem, there is no addition, there is no subtraction. So we can go to the next step, which is undoing multiplication or division. Again, there's nothing that's being multiplied, nothing that's being divided. So step 3 is to undo the exponents. Well, here I have x squared. So the inverse of x squared, of something squared, would be the square root. Now remember, I've got to keep this balanced. So whatever I do on one side of the equal sign, I have to do on the other side. So I'm doing the square root on both sides. So the square root of x squared simply equals x. And then the square root of 4 could be 2, but remember, it could also be negative 2. Since x is by itself, this is my final answer. X either equals 2 or negative 2. And that's it for the problem. But remember, you've got to check your work then. So I take the original problem, which is x squared equals 4. I think that the answer is 2, so I'm going to plug in 2 in place of x. And then I'll solve the left side. 2 squared is 4. On the right side, I can't solve anything, so this is just 4. I get 4 equals 4, so this is correct. Now in the next example, we have x squared plus 4 equals 20. First, we've got to undo addition or subtraction. So you could see I've got a plus 4 here, that's addition, and it's a positive 4. So in order to undo that, I need to do the inverse, which would be to subtract 4. And whatever I do on one side of the equal sign, I've got to do on the other as well. So now I bring down the x squared. 4 minus 4 is 0, so those cancel. I bring down the equal sign, and 20 minus 4 is 16. My next step would be to undo multiplication or division, but I don't have any, so I need to undo the exponents. Since I have x squared, the inverse of that is the square root, and again I need to do it on the other side as well. So the square root of x squared is x, and the square root of 16 is 4, or negative 4. So then that's my answer here, and when I go to check my work, I take the original problem, x squared plus 4 equals 20, and I think that x equals 4, so I'll plug that in. On the left-hand side, now because I'm solving the problem, I'm not undoing the problem like before. Now I need to actually use order of operations. So I would do my exponents first, which is 16. And then I would add 16 plus 4 is 20. And on the right side I can't do anything, so it's just 20. I get 20 equals 20, so that's correct. In the next problem, 2x squared equals 200. First, undo addition or subtraction, which I can't. Undo multiplication or division. Here I've got this 2 attached to the x squared, which means multiplication. So in order to undo it, I need to do the inverse, which is division. So I'll divide by 2. I'll make sure to do that on both sides. That way the 2's cancel, and I have x squared by itself. And 200 divided by 2 would be 100. Last, I need to undo the exponents, so this is x squared. The inverse is to square root, so I do both sides. This will simply be x, and the square root of 100 is 10, and negative 10. I have x by itself, so that's the final answer. So now to check the work, I take the original problem. I'm plugging in 10 in place of x. On the left-hand side, be careful here. We have 2 times 10 squared. I need to do the exponents first, so I'm actually doing 10 squared first, which is 100. Then I do the multiplication, that's 200. On the right-hand side, I already have 200. These are equal, so that's correct. And then in our last example for today, 2x squared minus 6 equals 12. First we need to undo addition or subtraction. I have a minus 6, so the inverse of that would be to add 6. And I need to do that to both sides. Bring down the 2x squared. The negative 6 plus 6 cancel each other out. And the 12 plus 6 equals 18. Then I need to undo multiplication or division. I have a 2 being multiplied by the x squared, so I will divide by 2. The 2's cancel and I have x squared by itself. 18 divided by 2 is 9. And last I need to undo the exponents. This is x squared, so the inverse is the square root. The square root of x squared is just x, and the square root of 9 is 3 and negative 3. And to check my work here then, I'll take 2, instead of x I'll place the 3 in there, 2x squared minus 6, and I want to see if that equals 12. Again, you've got to be careful here. I have multiplication, exponents, and subtraction. I'm solving the problem, so I need to follow the order of operations. So 3 squared is 9. So I'll bring down the 2. Next, I need to do multiplication. 2 times 9 would be 18. And then last, I do the subtraction. 18 minus 6 is 12. And on the right side, we just have 12. 12 does equal 12, so that's correct. That's all for the video today. Bye, guys.